Hello. Trying something different. Normally, I write out things that God gives me and post them, and decided I'm going to try this with my phone, make this little video and post it up, and maybe this will help somebody who might not take the time to read something that I've written. This comes from Matthew chapter 7, verses 1 through 5. It says, "Judge not that you be not judged, for with what judgment you judge, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. And why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not consider the plank in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, 'Let me remove the speck from your eye,' and look, a plank is in your own eye? Hypocrite, first remove the plank from your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." Now, too often we mistake the message and really miss what Jesus was really getting at in these two verses because we focus so much on verses 1 and 2 that we skip the heart of what Jesus was getting at, which is found in verses 3 through 5. And so that's really kind of what I want to focus in here, because this is something the Lord really spoke to me. And that is that so often the reason why we find that speck in somebody's eye and see it, and I think this is what Jesus was getting at, is it's because we have a plank in our own eye of the same thing. Basically, kind recognizes kind. I personally am someone who have struggled and still battle to keep it down, pride. And so it's very easy for me to detect pride in somebody else. And why is that? Because it's something that I've struggled with. I know it. And so a lot of times, because, if we don't see that, we don't recognize that, we see that speck in somebody else's eye, it sets something off in us because we haven't dealt with it. And so therefore we go with a condemning judgment. We condemn them, which is what Jesus is really speaking about here in verses 1 and 2, that, only God really has the right to judge with condemnation. In other words, to condemn anybody. We don't. And he chooses not to, even though he has the right. So what does Jesus say here? He says, guess what? He calls us a hypocrite. Why? Because we're pointing the finger at somebody with a speck, and he uses this hyperbole of, but you got a plank. In other words, you're talking about somebody who has a small issue with pride. I'm going to use pride because that's something, again, that I deal with. While, hey, you have this huge plank, this huge issue with pride. So what does he say? He said, hey, first, so what does that mean? That we're just to ignore the speck in somebody else's eye? And we're not to judge, so we just ignore everything? No. Let's look at what it says here. Let's go to Scripture. Let's read it and see what it's saying. What does he say in verse 5 after the hypocrite part? It says, first remove the plank from your own eye. Deal with that issue. Start looking at when you see something in somebody else that sets you off. Could be gossip, could be pride, could be deception, whatever it is. Do an examination. Do a deep dive into your life and really go to the Lord in prayer. Say, Lord, is this something? Do I have this in me? Do I have this plank in me? And really, again, before you talk to that other person, really get in and say, okay, hey, there's something here that's set off something in me. There's something that's pushed this button. There's something in me I need to deal with. And then get in there and deal with it. Get in the Word. Get in prayer. Get it out of your life. Again, remove that plank from your life. And then what does it say? Then it says, then you'll see clearly. So now, okay, hey, we've dealt with this. We know what it is. We know why this button's been pushed in us. And now we can see clearly to remove the speck from our brother's eye. Now, that doesn't mean that, oh, hey, because I've dealt with this, I'm an expert and I know, and now I can help you because of the plank that I had in my eye. No, stop and think about this. If you've ever had something in your eye, I don't care how big it is. I've had little tiny things. I've had hunks of metal in my eye, just not, and it's never pleasant, all right? I think we can all agree on that. Something in your eye, other than your eyeball and the tears and that lubricate our eyes, is not something that's pleasant. I mean, one time I even had a contact lens, so I don't wear contacts anymore, that rolled up in my eye. And oh man, that was one of the worst days, because couldn't see it, couldn't get it out, and it was just horrible. And so when we know that, and we come from that experience, we know, one, where to look, because we know where it was in our own eye. We can remember that. But also, we're going to come with compassion, right? I mean, again, when I'm trying to get something out of somebody's eye, like one of my daughters or one of my grandchildren's eye, they've got a speck of dirt or something in their eye. I'm not coming harsh. I'm coming with gentle words. I'm coming with a gentle hand. I'm using every trick that I've learned on how to get whatever's in their eye out. Why? Because I know what it feels like. So my compassion level is going to be high. And that's what Jesus is trying to get at here is that we first need to deal with our stuff to get it out. So that way we can see clearly. We know, because we've had this experience ourselves, we can come to this person with not condemnation, not this judgment of condemnation. We can judge that, hey, there's a speck. There needs to be the judgment there of, hold it, there's a speck there. That's a judgment that, one, there's something there. And we know that it's hurting them, but we don't come with this condemning, oh, you have a speck, serves you right. You should have wore your goggles, or you shouldn't have been messing with whatever you were messing with, or whatever it is. No, we don't do that. We don't look at why they have the speck. Okay, we just know that there is a speck. And we know, because we've been there, it needs to come out. And we want to help them get it out of their eyes. Okay, we're to come with love and compassion to get it out, just as we've dealt with it and we've had it in our own eye, and we've got it in our own eye. So that way we both can walk with clear vision, unobstructed by specks and planks. Again, let's not miss the point of the scripture. Okay, it's not about, hey, don't judge me, don't say anything I'm ever doing is wrong, when we know that there's stuff in somebody's life that is hurting them. And that's where we need to come at it. Not that, hey, you're a good for nothing sinner or backslider. No, there's something in your life that's keeping you from everything that the Father wants for you. And He loves you, and I love you. And guess what? We also come from that perspective of, hey, I've been there. Matter of fact, I've been there worse. You have a speck. I had a plank. Okay? So I'm not bringing this condemnation on you. I know I'm coming with love to help you, to walk alongside you, to help get that speck out. Okay? And again, anytime remember, something's triggering you and somebody else, take a look in your own life. Even if it's something that you've dealt with, again, how is that coming up? If it's coming up of this thought or this attitude of condemnation, probably there's something in your life with that. You need to go back. You need to deal with it again. Get it under the blood, so that way you can come with love and compassion, okay? Again, we want to help them get the speck out of their eyes so that they can see clearly. But we can only do that when we can see clearly. So again, first, let's deal with our planks, and then let us go in love and compassion and help others with their specks. Hey, I hope this encouraged you in some way. Pass it along to anybody you feel like. And if you didn't like it, well, love me and have compassion on me and pray for me that I'll do better the next time. All right. Y'all have a great one.